As you walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void
Horror Podcast.
Happy Halloween, everybody!
Happy Halloween.
Yeah, I hope you guys are going to have a great Halloween this week, getting all the candies, all the horror movies that you probably watch every week anyway.
Carve all the pumpkins.
That's right, it's episode 114, and we're going to be talking about two movies, Sleepaway Camp 1 and Sleepaway Camp 2. Well, it's Sleepaway Camp and Sleepaway Camp 2.
Yay!
Yeah, so this is some pretty interesting movies. We weren't too sure what we wanted to watch before, saying, hey, we're going to be back in a week or so, because if you guys don't already know, after this episode, we're going to be taking a break for a week, so there will not be an episode next week, but stay locked to our social media. I'll post some, fun things that maybe happened in the background or something, and, point out some episodes that you guys might want to check out while we're doing that, but we are getting a break!
Oh my god.
We got some guests lined up too, by the way.
Excited.
I've reached out to Brandon from Red On You Podcasts, and also there's a new one, In the Mic of Madness. There's a buddy here in town who I met at the convention. His name is Jason Smith, and he started a new podcast up that we might have on too. So
dope.
Got a few people lined up. I don't know what we're going to be doing with that. And we're going to eventually finish The Howling part 8 or 7 and 8. Oh, God.
I don't want to.
The hell ride that's going to be. But how about you? What's up with you this week? You do anything different? Did you have any fun excursions?
I was like, did I?
You went to a wedding or something, didn't you?
That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. You just posted pictures. That's why I said that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I went to our good friends, Mark and Sydney Squidney. That's what I call her, Squidney. They got married up in Flagstaff.
Nice.
Which was super awesome because it was a fucking blast, first of all. I mean, it was storming and pouring rain the entire time, but
oh my god,
it was dope. So it didn't matter. It was super cold, and I was like, I get to wear a really nice jacket for once. I'm taking advantage, and I didn't take it off.
Did you get shit faced up there?
Yeah.
Who did Mouse drive home?
We came home in the morning, and Mouse did drive home because I ended up having the most fucking hellacious migraine I've ever had in quite some time. Ugh. So, and that was associated with the altitude change.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so it was all this pressure, and also the weather for one, and the altitude change. So it was just my whole face was just I don't know, felt like I had 1,800 balloons blowing up in my head simultaneously.
Dude,
it was
sympathize.
Horrible. So I literally threw up the entire way home because when I get really, really, really bad migraines, I get nauseous.
Dude.
So then that coupling with the winding roads on the way home from Flagstaff, I was basically just sitting in the car heaving the entire way. So poor Mouse.
Yeah, and guys, by the way, if you've never had a migraine, it's a fucking treat.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, these people are old as fuck. I don't want to listen to this.
I've had migraines since I was 15.
It's going to happen to you. You're going to feel like fucking utter shit. You feel like you're dying. Mm-hmm. You feel the most uncomfortable feeling that you've ever felt. It's almost I always think of it as feeling like you're dying of dehydration because you feel so nauseous. And
it's awful.
It's just so terrible. Your head's pounding. You can't, sometimes you can fall asleep if you just try really hard. Yeah. If you just wish on a star.
Wish on a star. Break a wishbone.
That's probably the best way to get rid of it, but then I usually drink coffee.
No, I have to honestly, like, I get them so bad where breathing
That
hurts.
sucks.
And, like,
some people get
can't-
them really bad.
I gotta be in, like, pitch black. I can't move. Like, I have to stay completely still, and my breathing has to be super shallow. Otherwise, it just pounds even worse, and then I'm super nauseous, or I'm throwing up, either or.
Yeah, I dry heave a lot. That's fun.
Yeah. So if I, like, so I had to take, like, medication. I literally was like, I'm gonna fucking die. I don't know what's going on with my body. Like,
I had no idea what a migraine was. So, like, I when I was really young, I remember, like, oh, it's just a headache. What are you complaining about? My mom would be like, I have a migraine. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I've had headaches. It's not that bad. It's like,
No,
all you got to do is just, like, cut open your arm and let out the demon.
do
Didn't they,
cocaine
like,
about it.
drill into people's heads and shit when they had that fucking stuff?
You have a demon. Do cocaine about it. It's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, he's just possessed. We're just drilling into his skull.
So it's not a big deal. It's fine.
Like with a hand cranked one, you
Yeah.
know?
So stupid. I know. I actually had somebody like tell me, tell me literally like something to try is just masturbate.
Oh my God.
And I was
that
like,
would be the last thing I would be thinking about.
right. But I'm like, when like the endorphins and shit that's released into your system after you climax is something that can reverse.
I immediately picture myself dry heaving on the toilet while jerking off, and it's just kind of
I told her, I was like, I don't know if I could physically like make myself
Perfect
do that,
timing.
but like it's easier for a girl. I think like if you just get a good vibrator.
maybe if
it's
you just
fine.
get like a little magazine rack that you can set up stuff and just like, hey, there we go.
Well, it's yeah.
Get your little iPod up.
I can just lay in bed with a vibrator and be done with it. It's fine.
my
It's more
God.
like intensive for you than it is for me. But
But by the way,
I'm gonna
guys,
try it next time. I'm just saying.
this is an 18 plus podcast, by the way.
Masturbation. You're welcome.
As much as I don't want to leave that in, I'm totally
This
leaving
is-
that in.
Oh, please do. So this is the one of those rainbow like the more you know.
Yeah.
Moments. You're welcome, everyone. You can all
Anyway,
think about us masturbating while dry heaving and having migraines.
Anyway, guys,
I-
now that we've derailed off into the jerk off and heave territory, maybe we should jump right into.
Jerk off and eat. Now we're gonna segue into one of the things that definitely makes us want to jerk off and heave.
So buckle the fuck up and let's get ready for HORRORSHOTS! So, guys, if you don't already know, we mentioned, we're watching Sleepaway Camp 1 and 2, and in the movie, in the first one, there's a scene where a pedophile is cooking corn and being awful creepy towards one of the main stars, Felissa Rose's character, Angela. And so, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but let's just say somebody pulls a chair out and dumps all this hot boiling water all over him and next to the corn, and then it's a pretty cool scene.
From the tallest pot I've ever seen in my entire life.
That's like an industrial strength corn boiler, which is the name of the shot, guys. It's actually called a coin boiler. No, I can't talk. Corn boiler. Say that 5 times real fast.
Nope.
Yep. It's a tongue twister. So you're going to basically, this is a rimmed shot, as would he be with, never mind.
I'm like, we just transitioned from jacking off to dry heaving, and it's like, this is a rimmed shot. And I'm like, excellent.
Yeah, but you're going to want to put vanilla frosting on the rim of this. Before you actually put the juice and stuff inside. This is getting really weird. You're going to put... What's in a corn boiler, you might be asking yourself as you're puking in the toilet and jerking off.
Child's tears and jizz. That's what's in it.
You're basically going to be putting in 1/4 of a shot of grain alcohol. You're going to put in another 1/4 of a shot of any kind of vanilla rum that you can find. We picked Admiral Nelsons because, this is kind of a knockoff sort of movie, so we figured that's what I thought.
Nelsons.
So 1/4 of grain, 1/4 of Admiral Nelsons Vanilla Rum, and then you're going to put in about 1/2 of Dad's root beer on top of that. And when you drink this, you slam it and open your mouth and hiss like a creature of some sort to your company. So...
Or just do it straight into their butthole. It's fine.
You really don't have to put your ding dong out if you don't want to, so
Please
don't
do
worry.
it. Please fucking do it. And
like-
ladies, just print out a picture of a ding dong if
Hey!
you don't have one to use.
Mom, where you going? We're having a drink. It's a family entertainment situation.
Since you like it.
If you're looking to do a fucking corn boiler, all you gotta do is go to fucking longlivethevoid.com and check out our hashtag horror shot section now. That's it for horror shots. So it's been a little while. We are definitely coming back into what we like to call the fucking news.
Here is the fucking news.
We're back to do the news, and in the news this past week, there's been some pretty good ones. Some for me in particular, one bad one in particular as well. So, first of all, Peter Jackson was on the Empire Film Podcast, and I have to talk about this, guys, because it is my sworn duty as a fan of the Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive movie, as well as Bad Taste and Meet the Feebles. Apparently, they got a little out of him. They were talking about his new documentary that they were doing. It's about World War I, and like they had to take all this old film and footage and stuff and try to like revitalize it into like 4K and shit. And so they're using this whole new process to take film that wasn't 35 millimeter and turn it into 35 millimeter. And they went into this really long explanation, which, by the way, guys, if you haven't listened to this podcast, I'll put a link down below. Excellent stuff. Peter Jackson was asked, so, with this new process that you got for the documentary, it's pretty safe to say that you're going to be bringing out some Bad Taste, Dead Alive, things like that. And he was like, oh, yeah. So apparently they are working on Brain Dead, aka Dead Alive, Bad Taste, and Meet the Feebles for a 4K transfer. Like, what the fuck?
Sweet.
I am fucking ecstatic about it. Like, literally like 2 years ago, I was like trying to get a hashtag going online, which I thought I was a lot cooler than I was. But it was Free Dead Alive, and it didn't catch on.
No.
But, the results are in, and it worked, so...
2 years later,
Yeah,
the
so-
results are in.
I'm fucking ecstatic about this. I really am just, like, a huge fan of Brain Dead, a.k.a. Dead Alive. They had better use the fully uncut version of that movie. I really fucking please, Peter Jackson, please! I was like losing faith in the man. I was like, is he just embarrassed about this shit? Is he not? Is it like a dirty stain in his carpet that he's just like swept the rug over, like pulled the rug over? He was like, oh yeah, we don't sit in that area anymore, but no, what it was is that that Bad Taste in particular was shot on 16 mil, and he was unable to do it in 35 mil, as you've probably heard us talk about on my birthday Brain Bash movie, or we talked about the movie somewhere. But so he figured out this new technique to make it look like 35 millimeter. So it's all golden, and they're going to have that coming out. Apparently, he owns the rights to all these movies as well. So he bought them a long time ago. So I thought it was maybe like the New Zealand Film Commission or whatever that paid him for the movies, like to make them, because a lot of his films were literally paid by the New Zealand government. Huh. And but anyway, I'm super excited. If you guys are excited, please sound off in the comments. And let me know how the jerk-off session goes.
Basically.
In rather sad news, James Karen has passed away at the age of 94. If you're not sure who James Karen is, he was best known for his roles in Poltergeist. He was the real estate guy that the father was dealing with when they were trying to get into these houses and stuff. And they were going to build over this graveyard. And he found out about, they'd already moved the graveyard, but they didn't really move the bodies, spoiler alert. But he was in that. He also did Return of the Living Dead 1 and 2. He was the fucking guy that worked in the Unita supply warehouse with Bert, he's like, you watch your mouth if you like this job. Like this job! Fucking, but dude, it's really sad. He's done a lot of other fucking films, and I didn't realize that he was 94 years old.
That's crazy.
It is crazy, man. But he'll always be immortalized to me in those movies. And I don't know. It's just sad to see somebody that, you know, maybe you didn't have on your wall as like your favorite, you know, star, but you're going to miss just the same, because he was really good at what he did, in my opinion. So, but if you guys are feeling that, lift your glass, have a drink for fucking James Cameron. But yeah, guys, sad week this past week. I found out a day late too, so it kind of sucked. Also, in the news, some sort of interesting news, probably divisive news, is that they're making a Night of the Comet remake. If you've never seen that movie in particular, I would urge you to go check it out. It's actually kind of like an 80s silly apocalypse movie, which is pretty awesome in the same right. Like, it's kind of like a women empowered movie as well. So if you're into that, it's really kind of funny and silly. It's not perfect, but there's some charm to it. But apparently they picked a director, and that is Roxanne Benjamin, who did like a part in, she did like one of the anthologies called Southbound, and I believe she was in XX as well. So she's going to be basically directing that. And I don't know, some people were torn on that, so they're not really sure if they want to see that or not. I was having a conversation with a couple of people in Do You Love Horror about it, because we were talking about, like, I don't think they're going to be able to nail that 80s feel, and they're going to try to make it nowadays. And that would turn us off, because that's like one of the things we love about it.
Right.
It's one of those like weird niche, like 80s movies. It's just like a little gem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's highly possible. Like, look at the success of everything recently that's all 80s based.
Right. Well, that's what I was thinking. So I wrote the director congratulating her and saying, you know, hey, I hope that, you know, you keep the 80s thing, because that's like the backdrop of the apocalypse, and that is just like really nice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see what it's like. I'm not going to keep my hopes up for it, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. What do you guys think? Are you interested in that? Also, in the news, looks like Robert Englund has been doing a lot of fucking Freddy Krueger stuff on the Goldbergs. He's been on there twice now. And I think because of that, combined with the success of Halloween, I think he's having a little bit of the 80s rebirthing boom that we're having right now in horror. And it looks like he is ready to do Nightmare on Elm Street one more time.
Yay.
So I don't think that this is a bad thing. I think it could be good. Is it going to be a perfect movie? Probably not. I wonder what kind of story they're going to tell with this one now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hope they're not going to go back.
Yeah. Just keep moving forward, guys.
I mean,
plenty of opportunity.
It's been 15 years since Robert Englund played Freddy Krueger, believe it or not, in a feature film.
That's crazy.
So that's a long time. But he said, I'm too old to do another Freddy, you know, now. That was like last year, apparently. And ever since he did the Goldbergs, I think he just caught that Freddy bug, you know, and was like, you know what?
I feel like that, and then in the recent last year of like the convention circuits and stuff too that he's been doing is probably like, holy shit, this franchise is still booming.
And you know what? Another thing I really think is kind of sad is they kind of did the whole box set for the fucking Freddy movies, the prints and the transfers, and they were really shit. And the box and everything is just garbage. Like, I'm like, fuck, dude, this is fucking Nightmare on Elm Street. Don't fuck that up. You know, everybody has their favorite franchise, but if they made a new movie, maybe they would put out a new box set that actually was worth a fuck.
That doesn't suck dick. Yeah.
Right.
That'd
so
be cool.
I think there was like the second Nightmare on Elm Street that was just like, it was like losing resolution like throughout the whole fucking thing. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Anyway, guys, I'm pretty sure most of you would be cool to see Robert Englund on there, but,
yeah,
you know,
good.
maybe there's some of you that don't. Robert actually said, you know, he'd never be Freddy again, but...
Liar.
Yeah. I mean, it's like kind of like how Ash, you know, fucking Bruce Campbell and shit like that. So it was a fun ride, fellas, you know, whatever.
Psych.
But I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. It's his most iconic role ever, and he loves it. So, but speaking of sequels... we actually got a little bit of Jamie Lee Curtis that she's down to do another sequel for Halloween 2018, which I'm not really. I mean, I would hope
Jamie.
I love Jamie Lee Curtis, and
I love her too, but
I just don't know
We good.
Yeah, she said there's a caveat that she would only do the sequel if David Gordon Green would direct it again. She said, if David Gordon Green called me up and said, let's do another Halloween, I would do another Halloween. Spoiler alert, by the way, she would be in the sequel. But she said that he did a really beautiful job creating this movie. So odds are, guys, we're going to see a sequel to this fucking movie already. It's already made enough money. It's like quadrupled its fucking money.
Yeah.
I think they spent like $10 million on the movie and then $10 million on advertising. So odds are we're going to get a fucking sequel whether we like it or want it or not. So
Probably, yeah.
I did a little bit of a fucking thing in...
Open up your buttholes and prepare yourself. It's because it's going to happen.
Do You Love Horror? I actually posted a poll, which, by the way, if you guys don't already belong to Do You Love Horror, just go to the link below and you can follow to Do You Love Horror on Facebook and you can join a fucking amazing group of people. Everybody's really nice in there and we talk a lot about horror. But it's right now it's 14-1.
Yeah.
So
Sweet.
14 votes no.
I haven't voted yet.
We'll make that 15-1.
Yeah.
So 15 votes and 1, and I just posted this like 2 hours ago. So
Yeah, it was recent.
But anyway, guys, that's it for the news. All right, guys. So now we're gonna go ahead and jump into our Sleepaway Camp and Sleepaway Camp 2 Unhappy Campers. Right fucking
Now.
All right, guys, so we're going to kick it off with the first one, obviously, that came out in 1983. Sleepaway Camp is a story of Angela Baker. A traumatized and very shy young girl is sent to a summer camp with her cousin. Shortly after her arrival, anyone with a sinister or less than honorable intention gets the comeuppance. It was, yeah, I know, it's kind of a weird...
The fuck is a comeuppance?
Comeuppance means you get what you deserve.
I don't think I've ever
It's-
heard that before.
I have many. It's
that's- yeah, no.
it's also like your just desserts.
Just desserts.
Yeah, you get your it's just in the desserts that you get and the
Yeah.
deserving.
Great.
You got it. Okay. We're on board.
No, I got it the first time.
Okay.
I was just like,
I like
don't think I've ever heard
comeuppance.
that before. No, it's adorable, and I'm going to use it all the time.
It's been directed, written, and produced by Robert Hiltzik, who also directed and wrote and produced Return to Sleepaway Camp in 2008. And that's actually all he's done, surprisingly.
Interesting.
Practical effects in this movie and makeup were by Edward French, who has done a fuck ton of stuff, by the way. He's worked on Robot Holocaust for practical effects, Nightlife, FX2, which is actually really good stuff, Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. He did oodles of makeup work as well, as he's mostly known as a makeup person. He's done Amityville 2, The Possession, Chud, The Stuff, Creep Show 2, House on Tombstone Hill, or some of you might want to call it Dead Dudes in the House. It's not called that. Don't call it that or I'll hit you. Fuck you, Trauma. No, I'm kidding. I'll calm down. He also has done Terminator 2, Hellraiser Bloodline, Westworld TV show, the new one here, and many, many more. Some of the cast includes... the charming and fucking hilarious Felissa Rose. She plays Angela in this movie. This is her first role that she ever did as a film actress. I believe she had done like commercials and stage acting and stuff like that, but we'll get into that more later. She's been in many horror movies since then. She's in The Return to Sleepaway Camp as well. Nikos the Impaler, Satan's Playground, Psycho Sleepover, which is kind of like a throwback to this. Dead and Gone, Summer Camp Massacre, Tales of Halloween, which is the anthology.
Yep.
Victor Crowley. She's also in Death House, which is like that mega horror friends movie. It's kind of like the, what do they call it? The Expendables, the horror
Expendables.
version. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, she's filming a movie right now, too. I can't remember what it's called, though.
she's got a lot, but there's a lot. She's actually pretty active right now. So
Yeah, she's fucking great.
Also, it stars Jonathan Tiersten, who plays Ricky, her brother. He was in an episode of ABC After School Special, Return to Sleepaway Camp, the 2008 one we keep bringing up, and Lake of Shadows. It also stars Karen Fields, who plays Judy. She was in a short film where she reprises her role as Judy, by the way, from this movie. And that's it.
Why?
I don't know.
Fuck Judy.
No, she's kind of a bitch in the movie, but like, she's cool. Like, I thought she would have done more. I don't know. Wonder what happened.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. She's probably a good person.
Her character was a bitch, I should say.
Fuck Judy.
Yeah, everybody's like, triggered. Let's see. Also, it stars Christopher Collette, who plays Paul. He is been in movies like The Manhattan Project, The Langoliers, Roller Boys, the Hitchhiker TV series, plus Sleepaway Camp 4, the Purge TV series as a councilman. He's also done a ton of voice acting in anime shows and films and even games, too. So, also starred Mike Kellen, and I say starred because he played the character Mel, and Mel was the camp owner.
Yeah.
And he was pretty old at that time. He's been around for a long time before this movie, and was in films like Midnight Express, At War with the Army with Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, Just Before Dawn, another horror favorite, slasher favorite, the original Starsky and Hutch TV series, and plenty more, which, you know, he actually passed away shortly before the premiere of this movie on August 26, 1983. The movie released November 18th, 1983. Crazy. Yeah. So it's just literally weeks. So, also stars Catherine Cammey, who plays Meg, M-E-G, Meg. Who was
Meg too.
Who was in All My Children TV show for an episode, which apparently Felissa Rose loved about her. She was excited. She was also in The Young and the Restless, Law and Order LA, Scorpion TV series, Bones. But that's about it. What did you think about this film that we watched? Is this your first time seeing it?
No, I've seen this movie a bunch.
Okay.
First of all, this is one of my favorite fucking horror movies ever. Part of the fact of why I love it so much too is because Felissa Rose is just amazing. She's an amazing person.
Oh, dude,
so
she's great to meet.
It makes me love it even more because she's just so excited about everything about the movie and just her fans in general.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, God damn it. Like, you're so cute.
Dude, we had a good laugh with her at the fucking convention, and she even gave us a shout out.
She's fucking magic, dude. Like, she is fucking magic. Like, the first time I met her was several years ago, actually, at Mad Monster. And even then, she was just like the sweetest, most like down-to-earth fucking person ever, and she continues to be that now, and I'm so excited that she's still working, she's still active, and she's like, because she's smoking hot, first of all. She is smoking hot, and I hope she like continues forever. Like, you know, she's gonna be like a Jamie Lee Curtis and just keep going and I'm like, I'm fine with this.
Very positive.
But this movie, like, and it's so 80s. You know, like, it's so
yeah.
like from the shorts to the hair to how they talk and how they act and everything about it, but it's fun,
right?
And it's a great slasher movie. And I felt like, for me, and I feel like most people, it's so predictable from the beginning of what's going on throughout the entire movie that they were like, we have to find some way to make it different.
Yeah.
And man, did they find a fucking way to make it different, because this has one of the greatest reveals in horror of all time.
Yeah.
And it still, to this fucking day, stands the same way.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. And it's like such a fucking weird, eerie, creepy fucking moment that still now I look at and I watch and I'm just like, ugh. Like, you know, and everybody, I think, feels that way when they see it.
Oh,
like,
dude,
what the
scene,
fuck is going on?
You know you've seen this movie by the ending. You know what I mean? And it kind of ends abruptly, but it is pretty memorable.
You'll know if you've seen this movie. If you're not sure, then you haven't seen it. I mean, you're gonna remember it.
I remember it when I honestly, I haven't seen it in years, like a long time, and I think I might have caught it on like one of the cable stations or like an extremely edited version.
Yeah,
like somewhere on TV or something like that.
Doesn't make sense,
right? Yeah. So, but yeah, it's been a long time. I saw it as a kid, and I remember being freaked out a little bit about it, and I think my parents didn't want me to watch it. You know what I mean? Because I think it was one of those like, oh shit, what is he looking at?
Yeah, well,
you know, like
I get that. Like, it's porn.
Yeah,
it's porn. Well, it's a typical.
My dad's all dry heaving and
dry heaving and jacking off.
stop.
Oh my God. It's just, this is one of those 80s movies that just holds up, and it will hold up
Nice.
for fucking ever. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those that it's a classic to me, and it's one of my favorites. It will always be one of my favorites, not only because of the end and how they end it, and the super fucking unique and creative fucking way that they finished out this movie.
Right.
And like, they came back from the fact of, like, I'm pretty sure everybody knows exactly who's killing all these campers. Like, it's not difficult to figure this out. Like,
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, you think you got the whole story, huh?
Right.
Psych. Like, let's throw this fucking monkey wrench, like, into the works. Like, figure that one out, motherfuckers. Like, congratulations, everyone needs therapy now. Like,
Well, after
appreciate
knowing it, I kind of knew where it was headed, you know?
I knew from the beginning. Like, even the first time I watched the movie,
Like, why would they throw in that whole intro, you know?
yeah, I'm like, it's gonna go somewhere weird, but then by that point, like, you've, like, forgotten about that weird fucking ant that reminds me of somebody I know, and I don't know. But it's fucking awesome. I love this movie so much. I was so excited when you were like, I was thinking of doing Sleepaway Camp, or I'm all Sleepaway Camp. I don't give a fuck what the or is. Like, we're doing Sleepaway Camp. Like,
Yeah, we
haven't done
originally-
this movie yet, and I was like, we have to do it.
We were thinking about doing Slumber Party Massacre as well.
I do love Summer Party Massacre too.
Yeah,
though.
they're kind of like in the same sort of vein a little
Yeah.
bit, you know. But for me, Sleepaway is like you said, it's 80s to the T. You know, you got short shorts,
Oh, those shorts though.
half shirts, bushy eyebrows, overacting, pedophiles, kids getting picked on, scorching male libidos, whitey tighties, band shirt shit. People even like Judy have their own fucking shirt with their own name
I
on
loved
it.
it. Judy, and I'm like, oh, that bitch.
I know. They got, you know, child abuse, fake mustaches, and of course, dicks. You know, well, one famous one in particular
One
that we'll get
famous
to
wiener.
later on. But seriously, honestly, like, this movie is pretty damn good as a slasher that I, you know, barely remembered, like, all the stuff in between. Like, I always remember the end and, like,
I feel like that's everyone who's seen this movie.
right. Like, I remember that she was always, like, staring and looking so weird all the time, you know, so that I remember that. But, you know, it's been often compared to Friday the 13th because it was
At camp.
essentially trying to be Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So
A
it
slasher at a summer camp, like, cool.
right. Like,
Anything
there's too many
that's-
themes that are similar.
Anything that's done at a summer camp after Friday the 13th is trying to be like Friday the 13th.
Right.
Like, two
Well, I kept
fans.
thinking American Wet Hot Summer.
Yeah,
Wet-
that's
yeah.
what it feels like to me.
A
like
little bit.
Hot Wet American Summer.
Yeah,
or
that's
whatever.
what I
Like,
mean.
I'm like, okay, so this is what it feels like to me with the murderer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, that feels more along that element than
Mm-hmm.
Friday the 13th, but whatever.
Well, this one has pretty inventive kills too, which I really liked about it.
Yeah.
And some seriously, like, really great practical effects. It does a really good job of keeping you wondering who's up to the killing. You try to piece it together on your own. If you've never seen this movie, you'll be thrown off a little bit, I would assume. Especially, you know, for the time when they were doing this is like pretty fucking out there shit.
Yeah.
And without spoiling the end, let's just say it is, like you said, one of the weirdest, craziest, most memorable reveals of a killer ever. Like, seriously, ever. It, like, petrified me even watching it today. And I was like, oh my God, I forgot about that. Like, I didn't forget about the reveal necessarily, but just what was happening during the scene.
Yeah. I forgot about what leads up to it.
Yeah, like there
I
was
always
some pretty
remember.
freaky shit going on right there. And I was like, oh my God.
It's so good.
But like you said, it's definitely unique to me. It's understandable why so many slasher fans hold this one dear. Because, I mean, you have... How could you ever forget it? Like, how
Right.
could you ever forget it? Plus, it's not just about the end scene to me, guys. Like, I really think that they did a really unique ideas with, like, kills and stuff. The special effects, the practical effects in this are just so fucking good and creepy.
Right.
And, like, it looks legit. And, like, there's no wonder why, you know, Ed actually got his, you know, career doing a lot of this stuff. Like, because he's really good
It's
at
fucking quality throughout from start to finish. Like, it's quality.
it. And once you've seen it, I'm serious, guys, it's gonna be etched in your brain for years to come.
Forever.
Definitely a movie that I had to see you know, I like I said, I seen this at an early age. I don't remember everything about it. I just remember, you know, the gist of it. So it was nice to watch again. I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I think this is the role that, you know, this is what started her career, Felissa Rose, and she, for better or worse, however she would say it, I would say she would say it for the best.
For the best.
Yeah, because
every time she takes, if people want to take a picture with her as Angela,
she does the face.
She does the face,
yeah.
and she still does the same fucking face, and it's still it's perfect, and it's. And she loves talking about it, and that's one of the things that I appreciate so much about her. I love any opportunity I can get to talk about how much I love Felissa Rose, to be honest. But
she is very welcoming. Like
we're Instagram friends.
If you guys have ever been to a convention, like, you know, you meet some of your heroes, and sometimes those heroes become zeros because the interaction with them. And, you know, I think most people are pretty understanding that, you know, that you're sitting there all day long for 3 fucking days most times. You're tired. You're grumpy, you know, you want to eat, you don't want to sit there in this shitty chair, but you will never experience that with her.
No.
And she is just bubbling and fun and will crack jokes with you. So it's, you know, if you get a chance, you should just go check her out. It's like we're trying to suck her dick right now. But
it's fine. I'll suck her dick. I don't give a shit. I will suck your dick. Felissa Rose, it's fine. Like, and I'm sure she knows that.
And by the way, guys, I want to point out we did a good job this time with the shot. We stayed away from the dick jokes with our horror shot this week.
You're
so
responsible adults. I didn't want to be, but we were.
Yeah, we did. I'm just glad Brittany's here to defend me from all this like raunchy behavior.
They'll believe it if I say it.
She
I always
starts
talk
it
about
like
dicks.
she starts it, and then it just spills out for me.
Yeah, you just spills out all over the place. Just can't control it.
But yeah, man, I have a lot of spoiler thoughts that I wrote down too this time too, because I just wanted to point out some really funny things.
So we're gonna get into that then, right?
But yeah, if you guys are a slasher fan and you haven't seen this, you owe it to yourself to see it. It is a knockoff, but it's I wouldn't say it's like a so bad, so good movie. I think it's just kind of its own thing. It's so unique. Even though it tried to be like something, it ended up actually doing its own thing. So I think that if you're into 80s movies and you haven't seen this especially, you need to watch it, because I really did enjoy watching it. Even though there's a lot of trivia on it too, so we'll get into a lot of that. But there's a lot of reasons why you should check it out anyway. But they have like fucking so many. There's like 4 plus Return to Sleepaway Camp, plus I think there's another one that is kind of like, I don't even know. It's hard to follow. This is like a franchise we should probably do after Halloween, Howling.
I'm fine with that.
So yeah, guys, after this, you probably not going to want to listen if you haven't seen the movie. Some people go past it anyway because they're fucking rebels. But one of the first things that caught me off guard when I first started watching this, and I'd forgotten about it, was like the mom in the beginning of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
She
I
was
forgot
like,
about her. I don't know how I did, but I did.
She was like, "Oh my God, wouldn't you just be the special one?"
Oh, and her voice,
and I was like, is it going to be like this the whole time? Because this might be a little too much for me. Apparently that was intentional. Mm-hmm. It was done intentionally, and she almost didn't want to do the job because Robert, the director, wanted her to act that way. And she was like, I can't.
Yeah, this is annoying. And she even knew.
Right? So, but what did you think of her doing that, like at the first?
Yeah, she reminds me of somebody I know, so I was just like...
Just over the top acting.
Yeah, and I'm like, this is crazy, but I don't know. At the same time, I'm like, I kind of like her. I kind of like her. I don't know why. Like, I want to punch her, but at the same time, I'm like, she's all right.
One of the things I really tripped out about when I first started watching it, I was like, oh yeah, we're watching an 80s movie, all right, is the child molester thing.
Oh, I totally forgot about that.
Holy shit, that was creepy.
I think I erased that from my memory because...
Right, I didn't remember any of that.
So much, and like, just watching it yesterday, I was like, I don't remember any of that.
Dude, there's like this bigger guy.
It's so gross.
He's like one of the cooks. There's all these cooks sitting outside having a, like a man talk, just sitting outside while the kids are showing up. Mm-hmm. And the casual sort of child molester looking white dude is like talking to the old man cook, and he's like saying like, where I come from, we all call them baldies.
Oh, gross. Yeah, I wrote that out of my memory.
I was like, holy shit. I mean, it makes sense what happens to him. It makes you appreciate his death more because of it. It even like goes up to one of the girl where like Angela and's like, oh, well, hello, Angela. Aren't you a sweet cupcake? Or something like that. And I was like, ooh, God.
Disgusting.
But the part that like really struck me as odd is like when the other cook, the older man, was like, he's like, you're too old for them, though. Anyway, have fun raping.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, this is getting out of control.
Yeah, it's so fucking bizarre. I'm like, ew.
But I mean, they did that intentionally to make you enjoy his death.
Right.
Which is where he spills the...
It's pretty great.
Yeah, he gets the chair. He's like reaching up for something on top of this ginormous fucking pot of boiling water.
That shit's like 6 feet tall.
Yeah, it's pretty tall. Yeah, it was almost 6 feet tall. It was like
That
5
was a
foot.
person.
Yeah.
That was the height of a normal person, like pot of boiling water. I was like, does that even exist?
Right.
Like, where'd you find that? Maybe like military kitchen or something.
Well, like he like first of all he tries to corner Angela and he's like talking to her in this crazy creepy way, and of course her brother saves her. Apparently while he was talking in her face, she was laughing because she said that he was just like a super nice guy in real life.
It's like hard to be like.
Yeah, he was like an intellectual. He was like a serious actor. He took everything that he did seriously, and so he really was not. He was the opposite of what people think of him. Because a lot of people, when they watch that scene, they're like, fuck that guy, you know what I mean? And rightfully so.
Right.
Like, he spills the chair. He's got this little stool he's standing on, and you see arms pull the stool out and tug on it like 3 times, and then it fucking falls. And then he pulls the fucking pot on top of him, and you see his hands like all melty and face all melty with like boils all over it. And like that shot of him like with his arms from his eyes is really fucking cool.
It is really cool.
Like, I love that. That's my favorite shot in the whole fucking movie, you know, other than the very end, obviously, because it's just freaky. But that just how his arms are up like that, I thought was really cool. And then the makeup effects that they did on the guy with the boils, like kind of like pulsating. Yeah, like because they had bladders, I guess. He said he used like gelatin or something like that in there. So
they're fucking magic. Like it's so cool. Like it just looks legit, and how he's screaming the whole time.
Right.
Like, and then I love it because then the older cook comes in and like I was like, why does everyone just stand and stare? In this, like, no one helps anyone in this movie. Like, just like when the dad drowns in the beginning.
Well, if you tried to help him up, his skin would just peel off. Like,
but just like that's just like the standing like theme in this movie is to just stand there and stare and not do anything about anything. Because like that's what happens in the opening scene when the dad and the kids get like run over by the boat, and then like the dad's what turns out to be boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah, like what are they doing?
Stands
the boat's
on the
tipped
beach
over.
and like stares at the girl as she's dying, and the boy as he's partially drowning, like, and does nothing. And I'm like, what is that? Why are you just staring? And he's not convincingly staring; he's just staring, like confused.
Yeah, like what happened to?
I'm like, can you not swim? I don't understand.
What happened to her? You know what I mean? You just see the life preserver.
Yeah.
Like fucking just all shredded.
Right. So I'm like, did she get hit by the boat, or did she? I'm confused. Or did she just drown? I don't know what's happening.
Dude, that whole setup was so long.
Who's flailing? Like, yeah.
When they're like, she's like, let me drive, let me fucking steer the boat, and they're all drunk and shit. And I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, someone's gonna die.
Yeah, 5 minutes later, they run over everybody with the fucking boat.
5 minutes later, and that girl's like, somebody help! I'm like, bitch, you help. You're right there. Like, what the fuck are you doing? See, it's standing theme. Like, just don't do anything. It's fine.
Do you have another scene that you want to bring up? There's just some funny things that I wanted to point out that I wrote down that I didn't want to go into depth, but just to kind of give people a kind of a taste of what this movie's like.
Yeah. So then the next victim is so weird. Is that I don't remember the kid's name. Some fucking jack off like that fucks with Angela. Or when they're in the mess room, they're trying to get all the girls to go skinny dipping with them. And it's like 15 dudes, and then like
oh yes, the
5
kid
chicks.
under the boat. Okay.
Yeah, and nobody wants to go skinny dipping with these dudes, and then all these dudes just like take off their pants and
Their
they're running
whitey
with their white
tighties.
butts. No, those are their butts.
No, but they're pulling down their whitey.
I don't know,
Everybody
I was-
wears whitey tighties
I
in the
just
80s.
remember the butts.
They
I
didn't
don't
wear
know.
boxers back then.
There were so many butts. Like between the fucking guy that was wearing the tightest, shortest shorts I've ever seen in my life, to the dudes and their white butts, I'm like, Jesus. So then he ends up going out on a solo canoe ride in the midnight.
Yeah, well, he
It was
takes one of the
magical,
girls out.
yeah.
He somehow convinces one of the
Yeah,
girls.
some chick to go out with them, and then they flip the boat, right?
He rocks the boat. She's
Yeah.
like, "Stop, stop!" And then they tips it over, thinking it might, I guess, bring them closer together. And she
Yeah,
just swims
she
off.
Swims away.
Yeah. And
Well,
and then he's like calling her name under the fucking boat when it capsized.
Yeah, it's weird. Like the whole leading up to that scene's kind of strange because it's like a little bit of a mystery what ends up happening. But then the kid's missing; they can't find him. And this Billy or whatever the fuck his name is like cleaning up the beach and shit, and like all mad because he has to do it. And he goes to flip the boat over, and in there is that kid, and he's like got a snake coming out of his mouth and
Right.
shit, like a water snake, and he's like all zombified and fucked up looking. And that makeup work though was like. That's one of my favorite scenes specifically because of how he looks.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah.
Like the gums are peeling back off his teeth and
right.
shit.
They
and
did
I'm
a full
like,
body mold on him to do that.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fucking incredible for the time that they did this, like where, special effects and stuff were.
Yeah. There was
So good.
there was some of the like little kitschy like fun things that were in the movie that I was just like, oh, 80s,
Oh, yeah.
First of all, like, being Italian back in the 80s was like the big thing, you know what I mean? Like, and there's that big guy who was like he's like wearing the half shirt, and they're like out doing, capture the flag or whatever.
Was it when they were playing the baseball game?
Yeah, and he's like teaching him, and he's like, all right, the counselor's like teaching him, and he says, all right, gangsters. I just fucking lost it at that point, dude.
I can't with all those. I'm like, really? Why are you wearing a crop top and your little shorty shorts? I don't understand.
Some of the dialogue in this was kind of bad, but it's funny because it's like, I don't know, because it's just
It
80s.
works. It doesn't matter.
It's done seriously, and I think it's a serious slasher, but there's some funny shit in it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like what was it? Judy's like all pissed off that like Angela's getting attention from somebody or whatever.
Yeah, from that boy. I'm like, what the fuck is her
like I was like, what's going on? Like, why is she jealous? I'm like, and Christina's like, typical girl.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Bitches be crazy.
And she's like, Judy goes, she's bare down there, a real carpenter's dream. Light as a board and needs a screw.
I know. I was like, oh God. She's so weird. Like,
I mean, these are supposed to be like 13-year-old kids,
these
you
are
know
kids. They're like children, and they're cursing so much. And they're like, I'm like, the whole time, I'm just like, this is fucking glorious. Like,
That's one thing, by the way, that they did in this movie
there's
is
children
that.
and then like 18-year-olds.
Right. Well, because back in the day, they didn't want to have a lot of kids acting because, one, it was spotty how well their acting was, but he didn't really care. Robert was like, fuck it. He wanted to have real kids acting in this movie in particular. And he said that kids, like the parents, would literally just drop their kids off to shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, all right, we're dropping you off. And like the only parent that was there who became kind of like a den mother was Felissa Rose's mom, who is fucking hilarious, by the way.
Sure.
I got some fun trivia on that here in a bit, but
I'm sure she is.
yeah, she said that she became like the den mother for all the kids. There was some actors that were like SAG actors, I guess, that came. Pretty interesting stuff that happened on the set, by the way. Trying to think. There was another scene, and this is not like a favorite scene or anything. This is just a scene that I think of that really made me laugh. Is there's kids sleeping outside, and one of the counselors is like, his name's Eddie, and one of the kids is like, Eddie, I'm cold. Let's go back. He's like, oh, just go back to sleep, And the kid's like, no, I'm cold though, Eddie. It's really really cold out here. They're like sleeping out in the middle of the woods.
With no tents.
tent,
Yeah.
nothing. Just like fucking out there with their little sleeping bags. And so he decides to take back the 2 kids that are complaining about it and leave the rest there.
Yeah, he leaves 4 little boys.
In the middle of the
middle of the
fucking woods. Like, that is not a good idea.
No, oh my God, they're going to wake up. And what are they going to do when they wake up? They're like, what the fuck? Like,
Oh, Eddie's been murdered.
it's fine. Like, what the hell?
So, but the funny thing is that he like when he comes back, it was like that. It reminded me of that scene in the Star Wars prequels, and they were like, "Not the younglings!" Like their fucking bags are shredded, and there's
I love
fucking
that.
blood
I was
and
like,
shit.
this is great.
It's fucking dark but funny.
Fuck those little shits. They were mean.
I don't really remember her showing them or.
They were the ones that were throwing sand on her after she got thrown in the water.
Oh, that's right.
That's why
wow.
she kills them.
Yeah,
Oh,
'cause-
yeah, she's the killer. Sorry. Well,
no,
we're
we're in the spoiler
Okay,
section,
But yeah, that's
so-
why she kills them. And I forgot about that too. I was like, why'd she kill those 4 little boys in the woods that were sleeping? And then I'm like, oh yeah, because they're the ones that were throwing fucking sand on her after she got thrown in the water by bitch ass Judy.
Yeah, once she gets a taste of blood, it's hard to wipe off.
You know.
What's up with the camp leader too? By the way, Mel.
Oh, he's so gross.
Dude, and like one of the girls is like into him.
Meg.
Yeah, like what?
M-E-G.
Yeah.
Meg. I was like, oh, okay.
Blech. Like, why would she be into a man that's like 70 years old?
Who knows?
Like, I don't know.
Like, he's not rich, girl. He's got
Age
summer
is a
camp.
weird thing back then, because you like look at like Jamie Lee Curtis at 18 and you're like, she does not look 18. Well, like he might have been like 56.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and he looked like really
76.
like 76 with some energy. You know what I mean?
Some energy. He's got some pep in his step.
Yeah. He's got some Pepto.
It's the Viagra.
But yeah, that his whole thing was like all creepy. He's always trying to cover up for the, don't tell anybody what happened. People are dying everywhere because we got a camp to run. Don't spread it.
Yeah, I don't want to go bankrupt, basically.
It's funny though. I don't know. Before we get into just our top scenes, we kind of mentioned one anyway, a couple anyway, but
Oh, we've been mentioned. Yeah, I was like, I thought we were doing that and mixing stuff in.
well,
This is fine.
I forgot. I'm trying to do spoiler section now for all of our stuff to just kind of talk about it. But apparently they had an audition at Columbia High School in Maplewood, New Jersey, and for the like entire school to audition for this movie. And Rick, the guy who played Ricky, Jonathan Tiersten, his friends dragged him into the principal's office like at the last minute to do it, and he actually got the part out of everyone in the school.
Nice.
So they were like, his principal was like, told his mother like he's a natural, and he said he looked at his mom and he's like, Mom, I need an agent. That was kind of funny. I'd mentioned before, Felissa was younger. She took a lot of, stage acting, which her mother was a big part of. And she was pretty much like almost like her manager almost, and like tried to help her and like was really super fucking supportive of everything that she wanted to do. At the time when she was going to try out for this part, she did have an actual manager, her agent, I guess you would say. And she was like trying to do either a commercial TV show called Rosie, she said, and this movie. And her mom didn't care about her being a serial killer either. They were like, well, she's going to be a serial killer. And she was like, oh, that's cool. That's great. Is she getting the lead? Like, fuck it. Like, I don't care,
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool mom,
That is a cool mom.
She said that, like, when they were younger, that her whole family was just very open about things and understanding of things. So it just sounds like they were really cool.
Just slap that wiener on her. It's fine.
Right. Speaking of which, by the way, funny story. The director and the producer, which was apparently is now Robert's wife. They became married afterwards. Her name is Misty. They had to give Felissa's mom a call and about the end scene. And it was fucking hilarious to hear her mom talk about it. And they cut Felissa in laughing with the whole situation because I think they told her what they said. So, but they were like, they had to call her about the end scene. They had suggested putting a strap on Felissa Rose, who was 13 years old.
Jesus.
And her mom was like, she was never going to put a strap-on on. So she started and then you see Felissa laughing like really loud. It was the extras in the Shout Factory, by the way, guys. But also, speaking of dicks, they had a lot of tough time trying to figure out what they were going to use for the end.
Speaking of dicks.
Yeah, like Ed, the practical effects guy, he was like trying to figure out like how he was going to do this. So he was like sculpting dicks that he might try to apply. And he said it was like... It was
my dream job.
Yeah, he said it was very clear that people around me were like, that's going on a child, right?
Yeah.
And so they were like, okay, we got to figure out a different way to do this.
A giant dong.
Yeah. So it's they tried to make a face mask. They kind of ended up putting a face mask, a full face mask, which Ed did a really good job on the full body cast, and so did he do on this one. Like I didn't even know that was a face mask at the end.
On Felissa?
Yeah, at the very, very end.
Yeah.
She does a scene where they covered her top, and she's screaming, but they did a face mask of her at that point, too. So I didn't even know that was what that was. And then I guess they used some technique to clean it up to make it dirty around the flaws or whatever. But they used that instead. Which she didn't really know what they were going to do, really. She just knew that it was this was like the big moment in the movie. They had her act in like that scene for a little bit. And apparently the guy who actually did the scene with the dick was a college student who got paid $200, and they gave him some beer. And apparently he started crying before they did the scene. And even Tierston was like saying that he doesn't even believe that the guy ever came out saying that he was the dick. Like it was that shameful for him.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I was like, wow, that's like kind of dark a little bit,
Might just be a grower. It's fine. Don't be ashamed.
Was it that small? I wasn't really investigating it.
Oh, I was. You bet your ass I was. I was like, well, I shouldn't say I totally was because it's still supposed to be on like a child, so.
Did you have a migraine? Were you? I'm just kidding.
It's disgusting.
Just kidding.
Show yourself out. This is my podcast now.
Something I forgot to mention about the pedophile scene was that a lot of the actors didn't even know a lot of this material was in the script and stuff. Like they kept it way under wraps.
That's smart.
So like the kids didn't know, like nobody knew. So like they had no clue that there was like homosexuality with the father and stuff and like all this other stuff. So they just kind of like put it in there to kind of be shocking, because ultimately what fucking Robert Hiltzik was trying to do was trying to make a fucking shocking ripoff of, as he said, Friday the 13th, like that. So Friday the 13th was technically the ripoff that he was trying to make. Did you catch the fake mustache scene?
Fake mustache?
There was a guy who came, cop that came, and had a fake mustache on. Did you see that?
I didn't notice his mustache. I remember the cop, but I didn't notice that his mustache was fake.
Yeah, apparently everybody always remarks on it like, oh my God, that is like the worst fake mustache ever. And I was like, me and Christine were making fun of it. We were laughing about it. I guess the director, actually says that he gets asked that a lot. But what happened, guys, is that the actor had another role and he was supposed to come back and shoot, and he had to shave off his mustache and he didn't know he was going to be needed back.
Oh.
So they put a fake one on there and he's like, apparently we did a bad job. So, but another interesting little tidbit, and then we'll move on to our favorite scenes, is that Felissa and Jonathan Tierston, who played her brother, Ricky, they both had a crush on each other during the making of this movie.
No.
Yeah. So, he was like, I think 17. She was like 13 or something like that. They really liked each other. She said that they kissed a few times, and she was like, I was too young to do anything, like I wasn't into that. Like it wasn't like that. But she was like, then some like some fucking SAG extras came on, these big, beautiful bimbo women, and he started showing attention to them, and I got upset. And, it caused a lot of friction on the set, enough that the director actually pulled them both into a room and locked the door and said, "Figure it out."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like it was actually like a legit, like they were both upset with each other. So, but yeah, Jonathan was digging on some chick, and she was like, "What the fuck?
Fuck that motherfucker.
We were supposed to be forevers."
No.
But yeah, I don't think it was just her. I think they were both mad at each other a little bit about
Yeah.
something. So, but they talk very nice about each other in the extras, by the way. Like they have very fond memories of each other. And it almost seems like they kind of like, it was like their first love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like their most memorable love. So anyway, but so we already talked about some of our not favorite scenes, but just standout scenes. We mentioned that Pedo pulls the boiling pot on him. We mentioned the child getting run over by the boat. What else? What was one that you wanted to bring up? Oh, you mentioned the kid drowning too with the snake.
That one we talked about.
We got to mention the curling iron pap smear.
Oh yeah, we talked about someone else's death too. That's always a standout one for me is when she kills Judy.
Yeah, with the curling iron
in the vagina.
In the vagina.
Hot curling iron in the vagina, mind you.
Right.
That whole scene is just cool, like leading up to it, and then
it's not really revealing.
No,
it doesn't show anything.
It's implied.
It's all shadows.
Yeah, it's implied like that she does that. Anyways, but she puts a pillow over Judy's face, and then she ends up shoving this hot curling iron up Judy's vagina, assumingly. And so she's basically like burning her internally while simultaneously suffocating her.
Yeah.
And all you see is her arms up straight in the air in the shadow
right.
on the wall, and then her just like struggling, and then she just dies. And I'm like, sweet.
I mean, you
Fuck
get
that
the
bitch.
idea where it's going, but they
curling
don't
iron
show
pap
it
smear.
or anything. Yeah.
Fuck you.
That's what Christina called it. That.
Oh, okay.
She
That
called it
makes
a pap smear.
Yeah, it's not much different. So
Yeah.
pap smears are just as terrible.
Is it?
It's
Yeah.
basically like getting a curling iron shoved up your vagina.
Hearing Felissa Rose talk about it, she was just like, "Yeah, I didn't feel bad about being a serial killer or shoving a curling iron up some girl's vagina."
Yeah, well.
She was like really into it.
Bitch deserved it. It's fine. I wouldn't feel bad either.
Judy.
Fuck Judy. Fuck Judy and fuck Meg.
I think the last thing we should talk about is just the ending and just kind of describe it.
Yeah, there's other really dope kill scenes in this, by the way.
Yeah,
guys,
there's
that we didn't
creative
talk about,
ones.
so make sure you watch it and keep an eye out for it. But yeah, the end. It's beautiful.
Holy fucking shit. She reveals that she's cut off her semi-boyfriend, who is her brother's best friend, cuts his fucking head off. She's like, ooh, she tricks him, lulls him into a sense of security, and I guess drowns him is what she said, but then she's like cutting his head off while sitting on the ground naked. Mm-hmm. And then stands up and is like, while the fucking camp counselors are there, and you see her with her mouth open in this face that we've been talking about. It's like, holy fuck, man. Like that's
that
just,
enough was just like, what the hell?
it's creepy,
You know,
dude.
she like drops the kid's head, and then she's just making this face. She's got blood all over her, and she's just making this fucking face, and she's like making this weird like animalistic noise
Feral
noise that's coming from her, and that alone is fucking weird. Like that scene, and like her face and everything is just
the
so
combination
creepy.
is like really creepy.
And then the camera pans out.
Yeah,
and
and
because
then-
the guy's like, it can't be. Like,
Dude, did you notice that the camp counselors were like doing double takes at the dick and then the face?
yeah, they're all up, down,
It's like, yeah.
Shit was fucking crazy.
Like just literally like back and forth every time they were looking at her.
yeah, and then they reveal.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just really fucking creepy. Not just because there's a dick. Like, that's the least of the problem. The fucking problem is there's blood down the chest of this fucking guy,
Little
girl.
boy body, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a chick with a dick.
Well, he didn't really choose to be a female.
No,
the mom
weird aunt,
made it.
Yeah, the weird aunt made it happen
Aunt,
because
yeah.
she already had a son and she always wanted a daughter, so she named him, which is it's Peter, which is the son. So the son lived, but the daughter died in the lake that day, and so she turned Peter into Angela because she already had a son and she always wanted a daughter. So that's what ends up happening, and then they like back it up. Angela's a dude. Psych, like, and she's bloody and she's killed everybody in this camp because she's angry.
But yeah, and it ends so quick though. Christina was like, "That's it."
That's it. Yeah.
She was like, "What? Wait, what? Wait. Well, why is he standing there with a dick?" And he's just like, "What happens to her?" And like, so obviously,
I wish they would have reversed the reveal though. Like, I wish they would have just shown her with the dick first, and then shown the scene with the ant explaining it, and then kind of went back to backing out from the camera with her. You know what I mean?
I think that would have been a little too much for the time, and it would have had. I think it had a better impact this way because of the times back then.
Right. I'm sure there's a
nobody
message,
was
like,
thinking that.
Yeah, I'm sure there was like a reason behind, like a method to their madness on that. But for me personally, I was like, it would have been just so much better if it's just like, she's a chick with a dick. What the fuck? And then they do this like cut into explaining it and then go back or whatever.
Brittany,
but...
I'm just getting really tired of you and the dicks. Like, can we just like, I feel like...
Nope.
I just feel uncomfortable.
Wieners. It's fine. I'm just gonna have to get over it.
What do you guys think of this movie? Obviously, wondering what happened after that movie is inevitable, and inevitably they were going to make a sequel, and they did. And Brittany did the work on this one.
I didn't even know they did. It was so crazy. Like, we're gonna do this movie. I was like, there's a second one?
There's a fucking whole franchise.
Yeah, especially when I saw there was a whole franchise. I was like, what?
I always remembered seeing the box set, the DVD box set with the like white cover, and it had the like Swiss Army fucking
Tennis
like
shoe on it.
Yeah, and like, well, no, not the tennis shoe. It was just like smeared blood.
Oh, yeah.
And it had, apparently my buddy was telling me that the cover or that box set is worth a lot of money with the fucking emblem because they had to remove it. So if you have one of those limited edition copies of DVD, it could be worth a lot of fucking money, but you probably already knew that.
So the next movie we're going to talk about, Sleepaway Camp 2, Unhappy Campers, which came out in 1988. Angela, supposedly reformed and living under an assumed surname, is working at a summer camp. However, when the campers start to misbehave, she soon reverts to her old ways when they start being not good girls.
Not so good.
It was directed by Michael A. Simpson, who also directed Funland, which I haven't seen that movie in forever. By the way.
Yeah.
And I want to rewatch it.
It's actually pretty atmospheric and weird.
I like that movie. Like,
it's on Amazon Prime, by the way.
It is. I have it in my queue because I went to look for it after I was writing this up because I was like, Funland, that's that one.
I might watch that.
I want to watch it again.
I might watch it after this.
I haven't seen it in so long, and it's a good one. And this other movie called Fast Food, which I hadn't heard of, but it sounds interesting, so I'm going to watch that too. And he also directed Sleepaway Camp 3. It was written by, there's 2 writer credits on this, but it was primarily done by Fritz Gordon, who wrote Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3, but it was based on the original idea by Robert Hiltzik, who was responsible for Sleepaway Camp.
Right, yeah.
It stars Pamela Springsteen, who plays Angela.
What a name.
That's right. Unfortunately, we didn't get Felissa Rose back for this one, sadly. She was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. She played Dina. She was also in Fast Food. She's in Sleepaway Camp 3 and another movie called Reckless. It also
Fun fact, by the way, you're going to mention.
What?
She's the sister of Bruce Springsteen.
Is she really?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
I got
legit.
caught up on someone else in this movie that I didn't even think to look into that.
She used to go on tour with him apparently, but when she got older, because she actually went to and became like a photographer. So.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Thought it was interesting though. I was like, wait, Springsteen? That's a pretty fucking iconic name, you know?
Yeah. It also stars Renee Estevez, who plays Molly. She was Betty Finn in Heathers. She was also in a movie called Intruder, and she was a big major role on The West Wing.
Nice.
Fun fact for
Intruder.
her is she is the daughter of Martin Sheen, sister of Charlie Sheen, and sister of Emilio and Ramon Estevez. It also has Brian Patrick Clark, who plays TC, who looks so incredibly familiar to me, but I can't place him on anything specific. He was in Exorcism, Killer Island, which just came out actually this year, and he was on General Hospital.
Okay.
And a bunch of other soap stuff and some TV stuff here and there. He's had a pretty extensive career. It also had Valerie Hartman, who played Allie, who was in one episode of Cheers and did a movie called Intimate Obsession and that's it. Last but not least was Walter Gotell, who plays Uncle John, who his acting career spans back to the 1940s. Resume is insane. He was in A View to Kill, Octopussy, which I'm going to mention every time somebody is in it. These Are the Damned, which is a movie that sounds really interesting that I want to see, by the way. Puppet Master 3, but he's done some like horror TV bit stuff here and there. Probably like Tales from the Crypt, I think was one of them. Yeah. What did you think of this movie, Alex? Because I know we really liked the first one, so I'm curious to see what your thoughts are for this.
It's completely different, guys. Like, it's a completely different, it's like a tongue-in-cheek sort of film.
Yeah, it's its own
You know,
element.
like, it follows a little bit of the similar kind of beats to it. You know, it's nothing like a group of kids, you know, coming to camp and getting killed, apparently. That the combination just seems to work, you know, because it's like kids are kind of on their own at camp and stuff. But, you know, especially when these kids are like 30-year-olds, at least they look like it.
Right.
And the old kids are playing teens. Like, what the fuck? Like, after the first movie, the whole big deal was that they used real kids.
Right.
And they wanted to kind of up it up a little bit and make it different. But I was really confused as to who the fuck the kids were and who the counselors were. Like, it almost...
They all look the same.
It seemed like there was like 40 fucking counselors and like 10 kids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got really confused. But anyway, it's kind of in the category of the so bad it's good. It's not one of the best so bad it's good, but it definitely is one that you could pop on with some friends, eat some pizza, drink, have a laugh or two. Nothing in this movie is really to be taken seriously, like, at all. It's pretty silly, but they have some pretty fun ideas. It almost feels like a fan film in a way. I don't know why, but she's back. You know, Angela's back, and she doesn't like bad campers because, you know, if you drink, you smoke, you fuck, you curse.
Fornicate.
Yeah, fornicate or show your boobies anywhere, you know. Old Angela gonna get ya. She gonna get ya.
She gonna get ya.
You ever heard the story, Angela? And they tell this like half-ass story where
So
where
ridiculous.
Angela keeps interrupting her while this girl's telling the story, by the way. And that kill is so ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
But
In so many ways. Like,
yeah, a lot of the kills in this movie are just ridiculous, but you know, some of the weirdest kind of creative ways, you know, it's really funny, silly, kind of fun stuff. But some of the weirdest ways that, okay, like, first of all, Angela's the killer again, obviously. This time she actually had, they said that she had surgery to remove her.
she had a sex change.
Yeah, she had a sex change in the hospital where she got taken care of, which they would never do that. Like, but maybe it was for her therapy or something like that.
That's how they play it.
Yeah, but every time when she kills people in this movie, guys, because it's not a like whodunit this time, you know, she's just so jovial and silly, like the sweetest little, like, you know, hey, I'm cooking a cake, you know,
Yeah.
like, it's not like she has these lines that she could deliver like Freddie would or like
Like these one-liner
Jason
things,
would,
yeah.
or not Jason.
I know what you're trying to
You know
get
what I
at,
mean?
though.
Like those slapstick kind of Chucky Freddy moments where you can say stuff like that, but she just delivers it like, I'm going to get you, you know, like,
Yeah.
it's prime time, bitch. Not even like that. Not even like intonation whatsoever. Just like, it's prime time, bitch.
Yeah. No, it's a drill.
Yeah.
I laughed so fucking hard. I was like, what the hell?
It's silly, but you know, like I don't know, like she's so recognizable too. Like, and I looked at it, and she was apparently on The Facts of Life, which
Yeah.
you know I used to watch as a kid. Like, like so I don't know. I guess it makes sense seeing that, but it's a silly movie to not be taken seriously. Definitely just a fun little silly film to kind of like watch. It's 5 years later from the movie. Where I don't know, yeah, well, it's definitely way later. Oh, as she's older, but she's like
Kids are
30.
all like 35 now.
Yeah, I know, dude. I couldn't get past that. It made no sense to me. But like, you know, some of the kills in this are kind of they're like over the top silly, like just ridiculous, guys. Like, but for whatever reason, I forgive it a lot more than some other movies.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
So many boobs, too.
Yeah, oh my God, there's not like just like literally this was a Skinamax movie just for the boobs for the most part. Like, and it's just
Max.
yeah, it's a you know 16-year-old's dream to watch it when it came out on Cinemax.
So many boobs.
It's funny though. Did Mouse like it, or did you like it?
Yeah,
or-
well, like just to mirror off of what Mouse said when we were done, he looks at me and he's like, "I liked that way more than I should have," and I was like, "I agree." Like
fucking
I was
pig.
thoroughly.
No, I'm kidding.
I was thoroughly. I think I like the boobs more than he did.
You're right.
Mouse is a butt guy. Thoroughly fucking entertained from start to finish of this movie. So I don't know. I don't know why I fucking liked it, but I did. It was just so fucking ridiculous. But there's so many little bits of it that I was like, what the fuck? Like the jankety ass fucking like serial killers that she tries to like emulate her and two campers or
Oh
whatever.
my
I was
God.
like, holy shit. Like, we're going to get into that in a little
Honestly,
bit here, but
and I don't think this is one of those movies that really ruins anything for you. It's more just about watching it.
yeah. No, I think people should watch it because I liked it. I thought it was funny. It was just so fucking ridiculous in so many different ways. Like, it's so dumb. And I love the two fucking sisters that are stoned all the time.
Oh yeah.
I was so sad when they died as early as they did because they were hilarious.
Yeah.
And I was like, they look like
I can't wait
they're
till
high.
we talk about that scene, dude.
They look like they're high. They are. I'm like,
Yeah, and they do that little like hand mannerism where they like, you know, like back in the day we used to have all these handshakes and stupid shit.
Yeah.
When you're a kid, you have handshakes because it means you're part of something. So like they do this like handshake thing and then make fingers and then they bring it to a joint to their like they're smoking a joint.
yeah, they're
They call them the shit
the
sisters.
shit sisters. No, it's Allie calls them the shit sisters,
Yeah.
and everybody like, I don't know. It's
Because they're wasted as shit.
well,
Isn't that
their
what they
last
said?
name. No, their last
It's
name.
Shoddy.
It's like shite or shot or something like that.
SHOTE, she
Something
said.
like that, yeah. So I have a little bit of trivia on this so we can knock out real fast.
Okay.
And then we can talk about some of our favorite standout scenes.
Yeah, if you guys want to watch this movie, highly recommend just checking it out. If you watch the first one, you might as well watch the second
Yeah, just
one.
fucking do it. And when you're finished the second one, you're probably going to be like me and want to watch the third one.
I don't know anything past this. I've never seen the second one ever.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it, so I'm sure, like everybody, I was wondering whatever happened to Felissa Rose and why she wasn't in this one.
Right.
They supposedly did ask her to return as Angela, and she did a reading, but it didn't quite click with the comedic one-liners that they wanted Angela to deliver in the sequels. She was also preparing to go to college at the time, so, and I'm sure if she listens, she'll correct me if I'm wrong on my sources here, but
She was 18 at the time, yeah.
yeah, so, you know, and
17, 18.
if it didn't work for them, it didn't work for them, but I'm like, whatever, it's fine. I would have liked to see her in it again, but that's okay. If you'll notice, all the characters in this movie have names like Sean, Allie, Molly, Mare, whatever, Demi, like all these
TC.
names that kind of ring a weird bell for that time frame.
Okay.
But they're all named after actors that are associated with quintessential 1980s film culture.
I wonder if it's Judd Apatow or
Yeah, I'm gonna get there, I think.
Oh, okay.
No, Judd Nelson, not Apatow.
Demi Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically predominantly members of the Brat Pack. So they have Molly for Molly Ringwald, Sean
Right.
for Sean Penn, Allie for Allie Sheedy, TC for Tom Cruise, Uncle John for John Hughes,
Rob Lowe?
Mayor for Mayor Winningham, Rob for Rob Lowe.
I just want to
Demi-
guess them, that's all.
I know. Okay, so Demi.
Demi Moore, obviously. Yeah. Brooke Shields.
Yep.
Yeah.
Leah.
I don't know that one.
Leah Thompson.
Okay, that
Jody?
makes sense. Anthony.
No, Jody.
Jodie Foster?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, dude. Yeah.
I have Anthony.
Anthony, I have no clue. Oh, wait, he would be the kid from Weird Science. Or
Yeah, Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club, yeah,
Anthony
yeah.
Michael Hall.
Anthony Michael Hall,
Judd,
yeah.
we guessed already. Judd Nelson. Well, it's Judd Nelson. I think you said Apatow.
And then
but
Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen, Phoebe,
Phoebe Cates.
Emilio.
Estevez.
Yeah, and then Diane.
Diane?
Diane.
Diane word?
No. Diane Lane.
Ninja!
They shot this movie back to back at the very same location that they did Sleepaway 3. Teenage Wasteland
okay.
at.
Yeah.
Because that came out in 1989.
They shot it back to back. Okay, that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
she's in it too. She's in the third one.
She's in the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, this one came out in 1989. This came out in 88. The third one came out in 89. Both of them took 6 weeks to complete.
Holy shit.
Which I'm like, that makes sense.
Wow, no wonder it's so kind of like silly and ham-fisted. They didn't care. They're like, fuck it.
Yeah. That sex scene that's between Allie and Rob, like in the woods or whatever. I think it's the one in the woods, not the one in the bathroom.
That in the bathroom is ridiculous.
So bad. It's so fucking bad. It was actually Valerie, but for Rob, the actor Terry Hobbs was actually a minor. when they were filming, so they had to
Understandable.
use an extra
Gotcha.
to play him. And then the decapitation of Sean was actually cut, like the full decapitation of Sean was cut in order to avoid getting an X rating for the movie, but it appears in the outtakes on the DVD.
It is very apparent that they wanted to make a horror version of Meatballs.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's what I get from it.
They have an alternate version for that sex scene too, where they shot it with her fully clothed. So just in case like the MPAA wasn't going to allow the fully like nude version, but they still have, you know, obviously they didn't run into a problem. So they kept the unclothed version where you can see your titties bouncing around the whole time. Do you want to guess the total body count for this movie?
Well, there's 40 people.
Is there 40 fucking people?
That's what they said in the beginning. They were like, there's 40 people here. That's what they said. There was 40 kids. 2 of them left. He was like, 38 to go. And she was like, actually
I
they
had to
kicked the
send-
2 sisters home, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, that's right. Because remember there was like naked girls. That girl was like wearing no top when they all woke up. And like Angela's like, time to get up, ladies.
Yeah.
And then the girl's topless and like the other girl's like staring at her. And she's like, what are you looking at? And then she stands up and Angela gives her shit. She's like, look, we all know that your breasts are great. We all know. And we all agree, but can you please put on a top or something like
Put on
that?
a nightgown to bed.
Who's gonna see anyway? And immediately after that, there's 2 kids outside. One kid sitting on the shoulders of the other kid with a Polaroid, and he said, he's like the tit patrol. That's who. Oh my god!
Fucking fantastic. But the total body count overall is 18.
18, really?
I was surprised by that too. I was like, 18.
It has to be more
Now
than
I'm
that.
trying to go back and count it.
On-screen kills.
On screen. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So we need to talk about some of the standout favorite scenes that we
Well,
have, because I can't wait to talk about
I
it.
have a few spoiler thoughts that I wanted to bring up before
okay.
we get into that.
Oh, yeah.
When the boys raid the girls' camp, I guess they're having a panty raid. I guess that's what it is, you know? Does that dude, does he yell bangarang?
It sounded like he did.
I know. I'm like, wait a second. The only time I've ever heard bangarang is in the fucking Peter Pan movie,
yeah.
the Pan movie, what it was, our Hook. Yeah.
He does, but I'm not 100%. I was like, did he say that? And I didn't back it up, but
It's okay. So it says Battle Cry of the Lost Boys in the
Yeah.
movie Hook, which we already named. Jamaican slang defined as hubbub, uproar, disorder, disturbance, and a general exclamation meant to signify approval of amazement. Bangarang!
Bangarang!
So this is like a old term, which would make sense that maybe they had bangarang in the Pan book or some shit. I don't fucking
I don't know. Yeah, I don't fucking know either.
I don't know. I just had to point
I just
that
know
out.
it from Hook.
And
so.
then the funny thing is like this is the point where the girls get the panty raid. They get kicked out by Angela, who they all think she's a big prude, and they tell her to get out because she's like, you can't have fun, and she's like, I'm not a prude. And then the girls sneak out at like 3 a.m. to go raid the boys' cabin, which is literally like
Next door.
like 50 feet away from the
Yeah.
front door. And they go over there and they say jock straps, and they're like, yeah, and they're like holding the dudes down and like oh my god.
Yeah, but I'm like, those are tiny girls. That one dude's huge. I'm like, he could literally just like get up. Like, there's no way they're actually holding that guy down. Like, it's so forced.
Yeah, it's just like they were like, let's get the scene done, guys. Just have fun. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
And then there's that scene where that we were talking about, the sex scene that you said that they replaced the people.
Yeah. It was her. It just wasn't the boy.
That was an extremely awkward. You just see the bottoms of their legs, like their calves. You see their calves, and they're like stumbling over each other. Like, it's supposed to look like they're so passionate and so horny for each other.
I think the sex scene that they're talking about was the one in the woods.
Maybe. Oh, yeah, that makes
You
sense.
don't see the
Yeah, you don't see
kid,
his face.
Yeah, until afterwards. Or
Right.
whatever. But yeah, because the one in the bathroom, like, just stop and undress for a second. Like, that is so fucking
She gave it her
weird.
all there, though, didn't she?
Yeah, she
was
did.
in the fucking woods one, but the bathroom one was just ridiculous to me because they're
Yeah.
like stumbling over each. It's like a 5-minute scene, and it's just stumbling over each other, and it doesn't even look like they're having sex. Both of them got their underwear on, and they're just moaning at each other like, oh.
Yeah, it's like dry humping.
And then they go into the stall and fall down on the dirty ass piss floor and are like rolling around in that shit. And I was like, ugh.
And then she stands up on the toilet
Oh yeah,
And
she's
he's
like, hide.
supposedly like eating her out or whatever. Like that's what it's supposed to.
Is
look
that what that
like.
was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's total Skinamax thing. Like they do that all the time. I've seen my share of Skinamax porn because I think it's hilarious. So
next on semi-porn investigator.
yeah, it's great. So she's banging herself back into the fucking walls, and I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? But like the whole, like, it's so painful to watch them lead up into that moment, like especially when she's trying to kick her jeans off because she's just like falling sideways, and it's like the weirdest angle of her body, and it looks like she's dead, and he's dragging her into the stall. It's the weirdest shit. And I'm like, literally stop for a fraction of a second and just take your fucking jeans off.
Well, and then she
like, what is happening?
And that's when they get interrupted, and so she has to cover for him, and then she ends up going back out in the woods and fucking banging him out there, and he's like propped up against a log. And it's so funny because like she's like it's like porn at that point in time. Like it is like softcore porn almost. Like like not softcore, it's just silliness, but she's like
Skinamax porn.
She gave it like it sounded real in a way, you know what I mean? And like like you could tell it was like like whenever I see scenes like that, like my mind isn't like really into that moment. I just immediately think about the two people and having to act it out.
Fucking weird.
Like in any sex scene, I'm just like, wow, this is probably really awkward for them.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think of. Because a lot of times it's awkward for me, especially in like a movie theater. I'm just like, this is fucking weird. I
don't know. Like, I mean, I know that people like sex scenes. I'm just saying, like, for me, it's just not the same effect. I'd rather just go watch porn.
I'm good without it. Like, yeah, I'm like, I don't really. Okay.
But I guess if you're younger, you know, that's like really.
Unless it's like an excellent fucking sex scene, like in Gone Girl, where she slits your throat and you bleed all over her, like that's
or like
cool.
Fatal Attraction or some shit.
Yeah, like shit like that where shit pops off and people die and it gets crazy. Like sweet, you know, or like a machete comes down and stabs them to death. Like while
I always thought that
like,
scene from Showgirls was like
that was
raunchy and kind of like really.
Yeah, well, like Jason always kills teens when they're having sex. Like that's like a pivotal Jason thing.
But they're always like laughable. Like, you know what I mean? This one was a little bit more believable. Like, you know, like I don't know, like, you know.
Yeah, that straight out that felt like it was like from porn. It was weird and uncomfortable, and I was like, okay, let's move on from this. I'm like, she's gonna kill her because that'd be cool, and she doesn't. She just gets up and she's like, nah, and like leaves. I'm like, damn.
Well, should we do our scenes?
Yeah.
All right.
Kick it off.
Okay. Well, the first one that I mentioned kind of in the beginning, the girl's telling the story about who Angela was, and they're having this campfire. These kids snuck out, and they're like having a campfire in the middle of the night, and one of the girls sneaks out to the guys' like campfire or whatever, and they all tell the stories of ghost stories and shit. And she tells the story of Angela. Well, Angela shows up, tells her to stop telling this shitty stories, and then they walk off together because she's not supposed to be mingling with the boys because they could all, you know, have sex or something. And she smacks her in the head with a fucking log, and it doesn't even look like it hit her hard at all. And then blood just like falls down the side of her head, and she's like, ow.
She grabs the wrong side of her head. Like afterwards, like when she like gets hit or whatever, like she grabs like at the wrong side of her head.
I didn't even notice that.
And I was like, what the fuck?
It's pretty silly though.
Like it was so dumb.
That's when I knew. I was like, okay, I know what we're in for.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm ready then.
What about you?
Oh, when she cut her tongue out too.
That's right. She cut her tongue out. I forgot about that afterwards.
What? Why even do that if you're not going to do it right? Like, first of all, if they cut someone's tongue out, like shit's gonna bleed everywhere, and
you don't see it cut either. It's just
and it's super fake, and it's fine. Like, and she just lays the tongue on the chick's chest, but the blood comes off camera
on her hands
onto her.
Yeah,
and it's like, and then if you just cut someone's tongue out, they're gonna be profusely bleeding from their mouth,
right? And
there's no blood. There's a little bit of blood like on her chin, but it's solid. It's not coming down her chin. It's like solid because it came from like off camera, like onto her. It's so weird. So weird. Sorry, there's so many just like random like fuck ups in this movie that like didn't get caught or fixed, or they just didn't care. I don't know, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah, no,
there's like one glory gold scene in particular. Where
I'm wondering if you're going to mention what your next scene is going to be. Is it going to be the? Go ahead.
No,
I won't say.
No, just guess.
No, I'm not
Guess.
guessing.
I want to know if you're in my brain.
No, because I want to. If I guess it, I'm going to say it because I already know. One of the funniest scenes to me, and what I really understood just how ridiculous this movie was going to get.
Oh, you're talking about the porta potty scene? Is that
no,
what it is?
but that's one of them.
It's one of my favorites.
There's the say no to drugs. She's like, she burns the shit out of the shit sisters, basically. She like one of them is like passed out on a log while the other one's passed out on the ground. Kind of, and just got out of having sex or whatever. But Angela like finds them and she's like pissed at them, but in like the nicest way possible. Like, you're gonna be in trouble now. And then next thing you know, the girl's
Uncle
waking
John's
up.
Gonna hear about this.
Yeah, one of the sisters wakes up and she sees the charred black skeleton of her sister, and she's sitting on a fucking grill. It's so comical. And then of course Angela's pouring gas all over her. She pours the alcohol on her and she pours gas on her. And then this comical fucking black fucking charred skeleton is like kind of falling on her because it's so light. Like, you can tell it's fake.
It's glorious.
And she's like, say no to drugs. Like, say no to drugs. Like that.
Lights the match, and the match burns out, by the way, before she actually drops it on her.
Oh, but they just cut to it.
And
Yeah.
it's like, the match burns out in her hand. And I'm like, how you light that fire? Stupid magic.
I always wonder. I always think about that too when they're pouring gas on somebody, because it's like such a like crazy scene, and it's such an easy trick to do too. You know, like, because you can just pour water or fucking tea on somebody and just change the color.
But Mouse is like, how does no one hear this?
I know, it's not that far away.
How is no one hearing this? At first, I didn't even realize that it was at the abandoned cabin, because they hadn't talked about the abandoned cabin yet. So at first, I was like, is this literally like at the camp? Like, and Mouse is like, how does no one know what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. She's burned 2 people alive. I know. And they're in the woods. That shit carries.
It's a really weird combination.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just great. It's fine.
So which one are you thinking of now?
Well, I love the fucking porta potty scene.
Oh, okay.
Which is fantastic. Like,
it kind of made me gag a little bit.
It was a little gross. But so Allie, they like argue with each other briefly, and then I don't remember how she lures Allie up into the. Oh, she leaves the note saying that it's Sean, the guy that she likes.
Right, she's tricking her after she gets done having sex with that guy on the log. Yeah.
So she thinks it's Sean that leaves this note for her. So she goes to this abandoned cabin, right? And then she's trying to get into the abandoned cabin door, but it's locked. And as she turns around to leave, Angela jumps out of the fucking locked door and stabs her in the back with a screwdriver.
A couple times,
and then she just like falls down, and then she ends up dragging her into the what I thought was just a cabin, but it turns out to be a porta potty.
Yeah. She's like, get in!
And she's shoving her head inside the hole, and she's like asking her, what do you see down there? And just shit! Like, and she's like basically explaining like this is what her life's going to be, is a big pile of shit because she's a shitty person or whatever the fuck she's getting at. She's making a lot of shit puns, which is like ridiculous. But she somehow has this giant stick. Like, wherever she finds this giant stick, I don't know.
It's a camp, so that's her walking stick.
She pulls it out of her butt. Like,
it's her walking stick.
Giant fucking stick.
You go hiking on the trails.
And she starts hitting her with it, and then she somehow shoves her into the giant porta potty outhouse hole. She shoves her in there, and she's like, you know what else is? Do you see what else is in there, Allie? Do you see what else is? Leeches.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the hell is going on?
I don't know if that actually really happens. But even still, it was kind of gross.
She just continuously shoves this giant stick down into the hole to try and keep Allie in the hole. And then Allie's head keeps popping out of it randomly. And she's got leeches on her face, and her hair's got shit in it. And she just looks gross and smelly. And then eventually she just like holds her down there with the stick, and she dies, assumingly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what did I just watch? I have so many questions.
Which later they show that girl who died. She's collecting them all and putting them in this cabin,
which is so great.
And she's got fake leeches all over her face, and like everything looks really comical. But she's like, little Susie home. This is my house. I'm thinking about eating some peas. What do you think?
Yes.
Like everything's
weird.
like really like tongue in cheek, silly.
Yeah. I knew that battery would come in handy.
Yeah, she like throws acid. She gets it all over her hands. That was funny.
I was like, really, bitch? Like, she throws a little coffee mug of battery acid all over TC's face that just kills him, apparently, like right away. But she spills it all over her arm and her hand when she does it.
She even wipes her hands off in the sink.
Like it's nothing. And I'm like, bitch, you just okay. Okay. Like, that's a continuity issue that no one paid attention to.
Oh, I definitely did, but I don't think the movie cared
enough. And then
enough.
it just continued with more of them right after that.
Yeah.
Because I think TC's, like, corpse is on the ground, like, before she actually kills him. Like, because there's, like, extra people in there, like, before she's actually killed other people.
She killed a lot of people in that movie.
Which is weird. Yeah. Excuse me. Sorry, I had to, like, itch my nose, and that was kind of loud. Anyways, but yeah, there's a lot of deaths. She kills a lot of people. We're not going to talk about all of them because there's a lot of them.
I want to mention one, though.
Yeah, go for it.
Freddie, these two kids want to scare Angela because she's being such a prude.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I totally forgot about the fucking derpy serial killers.
So there's this, like, two kids that are designing, like, this thing, and she's kind of, like, carefully watching over their shoulders as they're, like, planning it so she can kill them. And these two, like, little kids, like, one of them decides to go as Jason and dress up with a hockey mask, like a scuffed version of fucking Jason.
It's like Dollar Store Jason.
Right. And then the other one wants to go as Freddy. And by the way, that Freddy glove kill was so real. That was But they go out in the woods. One kid loses his Freddy glove that he's trying to scare Angela with, and he's, like, comically looking around on the ground
with, like, baloney on his face. By the way.
Yeah. Is that what it was?
I don't know. It looked like it. I think it was tissue paper that was, like, red or something that he put on him, but it looks like baloney in the end scene.
Well, yeah. So he's like, the way he was looking around on the ground just made me laugh. I'm like, dude, that is.
It's like my glasses.
You could have like lifted some leaves or something. Like, you're like looking for a contact, not a fucking a huge ass glove. But anyway, he finds the glove on top of the log, and it's attached to Angela.
Shocker.
And she cuts his throat, like, with some weird twist. Like, it doesn't even look like it cuts him. It
doesn't make sense. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense.
And then she takes his face off after that and cuts his face off. They don't show it, but they take off his face, and then she goes to find the other kid who's playing Jason as Leatherface.
Yeah, she somehow acquires a chainsaw.
Well, so they keep talking about him and talking about all the stuff missing in camp. So,
yeah, that was so funny. Like
I was like watching her
drill.
Yeah,
and she's just like,
yeah, she didn't even I was just like, it didn't even phase her. So
fucking hilarious. But yeah, then she shows up as Leatherface. It was
fucking terrible
piss
though.
My pants.
It was
laughing
terrible
so
though.
She just like comes on. Oh, was she Leatherface now? Like, what the fuck? Like, are you serious?
And it's more than once.
Yeah, oh yeah. Twice.
And it's like,
yeah, that expands into another scene too, and I'm like, bitch.
She goes back to some campfire where the girls are, and she's sitting there, and they tackle her. I don't know. It's just silly.
Angela. Oh.
I mean, I don't know. This movie is, like, the more I think about it, it's really just kind of ridiculous.
It is, but I fucking love it.
It is kind of enjoyable in some weird way. Like, it gives you hope that you could make a horror movie. You know what I mean?
I know I can. If this happened, I can totally do it. There's one more scene that I really liked. When Angela, like, leaves the camp after she gets fired or whatever, like, she's killed everybody or something at this point. And she leaves the camp, and you just see, like, she's somehow got, like, some hitchhiker, some chick in a truck, like, picks her up or whatever.
Oh, yeah, dude. I was like, oh, my God.
That lady's conversations, like, she's like, thanks for the ride. She's like, no skin off my tits. And I was like, oh, my God, that is gold.
She's just like, I can't stand her.
And then all of a sudden, they're stopped at this, like, train, as this train's passing, and then she just stabs her to death and takes the truck. And I was like, that's amazing. Like,
yeah, and then the very end, spoiler, which you're not really missing anything.
No.
The ending, of course, the one girl who got away.
Yeah.
She fell off the cliff and she was supposed to die, and she was like, she almost got away, if it's any consolation. Anyway, la la la, and travels off.
And then she goes and kills everybody.
Yeah, but then the funny thing is that she tries to get help, and then she goes to the window, and you could clearly see it's Angela, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's not hidden.
Wearing a fucking cowboy hat, and of course she goes to the window, and Molly's like,
yeah,
like, howdy, partner. Like that.
Literally.
Not even like, howdy, partner.
Yeah. And then the camera just, like, zooms in on Molly's face all weird for a second, and then roll credits.
Yeah.
I'm like, what just happened?
It's kind of a terrible movie, but it's also kind of terribly awesome.
It's terribly awesome. Like, I was just like, I loved it.
Yeah, you're not going to...
I shouldn't have loved it, but I loved it so much.
I'm getting vibes of, like, the Howling franchise here a little bit.
This is better.
Yeah. Oh, what? I like part 2.
Oh,
better than this.
Okay, well, overall, I feel like I like the first two for Howling, and then I'm like, ugh.
It feels very homemade, which I admire in some respects. But if I had to pick between the two, I would pick Howling 2 over this one.
I wouldn't.
But it's still like in that so bad it's good, so it's up to interpretation or whatever you experience it with, whoever you're with.
Right.
So it's one of those. But yeah, what do you guys think? Have you seen this one? Do you like this one? Do you actually prefer this one? I mean, there's people out there, it just doesn't surprise me anymore, you know?
There's crazy people in the world that would be like, oh, yeah, number 2 over number 1. You're insane, but okay.
The worst one is the best one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
haven't seen 3 yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen 3, 4, or The Return. So
we haven't continued on this journey, so we don't really know where it goes.
Do we need to?
I think we do. I really want to see the Teenage Wasteland one, mainly because I like the name of it.
Yeah, wasn't that a song?
Yeah.
Yeah, Teenage Wasteland. I can't remember. It's some 80s track, right? Yeah, it's the fucking Who. We just looked it up, by the way, guys. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this, and we would love to hear from you guys, as always, in the comment section of wherever we post this. You can post it on our website. Just love to hear from you guys. Did you enjoy these movies? Have you seen these movies? We'll be, of course, trying to be better about letting you know what movies we're watching each week, but next week we will not be here. So we will not be here next week. It'll be our 1-week vacation. We will return here on the 12th, guys. But anyway, guys, we hope you have a very safe and fun and spooky Halloween. And we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And as always,
Stay safe and stay weird, monsters.